Ladies and gentlemen, if you take your seats, please. My name is Janet Brown. I'm Executive Director of the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'd like to welcome you to the second presidential debate of 2016 here at Washington University in St. Louis, an historic fifth for this campus and a treasured homecoming for the Commission on Presidential Debates. Ladies and gentlemen, if you take your seats, please. My name is Janet Brown. I'm Executive Director of the Commission on Presidential Debates. I'd like to welcome you to the second presidential debate of 2016 here at Washington University in St. Louis, an historic fifth for this campus and a treasured homecoming for the Commission on Presidential Debates. 5 days ago, this set and this crew were in Farmville, Virginia. Everything that you see tonight has been moved here from the vice presidential debate, set up, tested, rehearsed, beautified in that short time span. I hope those of you in the audience here at Washington University will look at your programs and study those names that are listed there under the production crew. They are without peer in terms of all of the aspects of this extremely complicated production that will be carried for 90 minutes live, nationally and internationally. The audio, lighting, set, and logistical team that does this are absolutely extraordinary. There are a lot of people to thank for what has happened here tonight, and I would like to start by introducing the co-chairman of the commission, Mike McCurry and Frank Fahrenkopf.
Thank you, Janet. What a pleasure it is to be here at Washington University. The fifth time that we have been here for a presidential debate. It's beginning to feel almost like a permanent home for the Commission on Presidential Debate. So all of you from Washington University and the community here, thank you very much, and give yourself a round of applause. The Nonpartisan Commission on Presidential Debates began in 1987 with the leadership of my co-chair, Frank Fahrenkopf, who's here tonight, and my predecessor, Paul G. Kirk, Jr. And they did an extraordinary thing. They actually decided that presidential debates ought to be institutionalized and the American people ought to expect that they would happen and that the candidates would participate. And we've been able to do that. We've been able to do that with the assistance of 14 incredible members of our commission, distinguished leaders who join me and Frank. And I'd like to introduce them now. We'll give them a round of applause at the end. We're delighted to be joined tonight by the chairman of the Howard G. Buffett Foundation, Howard Buffett, your former United States Senator here in Missouri, Jack Danforth, the former anchor of ABC. By the way, guys, stand up as I list your names. The former anchor of ABC World News with Charles Gibson, obviously Charlie Gibson. The president of the University of Notre Dame, Father John Jenkins. The former president of the League of Women Voters and the current president of the Council on Foundations, Dorothy Dot Ridings. And the former president of Princeton University, Shirley Tillman. Go Tigers. So if you could all stand and give them a round of applause. One of the things our commission is responsible for doing is designing the format. If you've watched the previous presidential debate, you know this one is different because we have with us citizen participants who have been selected by the Gallup organization. They represent uncommitted citizens here in
states who want to be president or vice president of the United States stand before the cameras and debate the issues that are so important. And I want to very quickly name them: the Anheuser-Busch Corporation, the Howard G. Buffett Foundation, the Kovler Fund, the law firm of Kroll and Mooring, the AARP, and the National Governors Association. Won't you join with me in thanking them for their support? Now, Mike talked about the social media platforms. Now, most of us in this room, other than students, grew up getting the news of the day of our nation and politics by reading the newspaper, by reading magazines, and by watching the nightly news. That's no longer the case with a very large number of people in our country, particularly the millennials. And so, as Mike said, we've been working with the social network platforms very, very closely for the last 4 years. And what's happened is, going into this debate tonight, Anderson Cooper and Martha Raddatz have received from those social network platforms the views of the platform participants as to what they think the issues are that are important, and hopefully those issues will be presented in the questions that come from the moderators, in addition to the questions that are going to come from these ladies and gentlemen who are behind us. One last point, and I mentioned this to some detail at the vice presidential debate a week or so ago, is we're particularly proud of the work we do internationally. The United States of America, with all our faults, is still the beacon of democracy and freedom around the world. And we've been working for the last 20 years with nations around the world, particularly emerging democracies, who are amazed that tonight citizens of the St. Louis area are going to have an opportunity to ask questions of the next president of the United States. Amazing. And so we have worked with those 35 nations, and they've created their own CPDs and are doing work. In fact, in Las Vegas, the last debate that's coming up in 10 days, we will have 50 people from 45 nations as guests who will be there for seminars and learning how the process is done. And so we're very, very proud of that. Let me add one more thing before I introduce another important person to you. Right at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern, we're going to be very quiet in this room, except for back there. At exactly 9 o'clock, the networks are going to go hot, and you're going to hear the voices and so forth. You can sit quietly. It'll be about 3 minutes later that we will go live on the debate, and they'll stop what they're doing. But so just so you're not upset with the noise that you're going to hear. As Mike said, we owe a lot to this university, to the faculty, to the students, and the staff. Mike said that we've been here 5 times. And it's very, very great pleasure for me to introduce the man who makes the machinery run here, the chancellor of this university, Mark Wrighton. Mark.
Good evening and welcome to Washington University in St. Louis. It's a real pleasure to be here, and I appreciate very much the confidence that has been placed in us by the Commission on Presidential Debates. We at Washington University care deeply about the student experience. This debate has offered the opportunity for many students to be engaged, to learn about the issues, to be involved in voter registration. I'm proud that more than 3,000 students have been registered to vote and encouraged to participate in this very important election. We at Washington University are involved in education, research, patient care, and community service. Through this work, we are enhancing the quality of life for all. Indeed, in this era, our overarching goal is to enhance our leadership today to benefit America and the world tomorrow. We're doing this by advancing human health. We have premier researchers addressing Alzheimer's disease. We've developed the 3rd largest cancer center in the United States, the Alvin J. Siteman Cancer Center. We're advancing work in genetics and genomics to pursue personalized precision medicine. And we're advancing innovation and entrepreneurship. St. Louis, in case you haven't noticed, is now one of the startup cities of America. Finally, through our work, we're preparing future leaders. Tonight is a debate between 2 individuals, one of whom will become the next president of the United States. We at Washington University have the very best students, and I'm grateful that our student union president is here this evening. He is from Singapore, reflecting a dimension of the